Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new flip through video. This is part 2 of my Boston album, so it's from the middle to the end. So if you haven't watched part 1, probably go back, watch that one, then come back here. And I wanted to show, this is where I left off here. This was the last layout I had done for part 1. So part 2 starts here, and I wrote some things down about this. So part 1 was 23 page protectors. There were 3 inserts in addition to that. Now, it was truly exactly halfway in theory, because for part 2, I also have 23 page protectors, but I ended up with 13 inserts. So really part 2 is somewhat bigger, quite a bit bigger than part 1. And I don't know why I ended up having so many inserts. I just had so many good photos, I think, that I wanted to include them. So what we're starting with here is in the evening. This was our first day still. Can you imagine? All of this was just from day 1. And the second half is everything else. Yeah, that's a lot. So we started at Cheers that evening for drinks and dinner. There's a flip down here. I included a placemat that was in the restaurant part. We had drinks in the bar downstairs, then we went upstairs to the restaurant as well. So here's the first insert right here. And I counted anything to be an insert if it was not 6 by 12. So just to be clear, that is what constitutes an insert in my world when it comes to this album. On this page, I also put in, that's a coaster, so it's quite thick. It takes up quite a bit of room, but I loved the look of it, so I wanted to include it. This I also counted as an insert because it's 3 by 12. It is not a full page. So this one doesn't add a huge amount of bulk, but it is an extra insert. And I love this little vellum piece here that says, heck yes, we had such a good time there that I wanted to make sure I included that. And then when you go there, you also get this sticker that says cheers, where everybody knows your name. And I kept mine purposely so that I could scrap it when I got back. And here's us just having more drinks and dinner, a little bit of journaling, and a little flip there. And I believe there is a process video for this one, so that one might look familiar. A lot of these have process videos. There were fewer towards the end, I think, because I got into a groove with it. And plus, I just wanted it done. This album ended up being so huge. I just kind of wanted to get to the end. Here's a layout that just has some random photos from around the city. It's a lovely city if you've never been, and I wanted to include just some miscellaneous shots of the architecture, things that make it really feel like Boston. And so here's another insert where I put in my Charlie ticket. That is what they call their transit system there if you're taking the train, the subway. So I kept my ticket and I put it in there. I love that on the back here you can see that bought it on the 19th and it was good through the 26th. And then again, we just wanted some photos around the city to make it look like we were really in this city, and we all, agreed that taking public transportation was the right way to go. We didn't want to have to rent a car, so we thought we better get some train pics, so I've included them here. And then that morning, so this is the morning of day 2, here's a little brochure. I did not adhere that down to anything, so it can come out. Anybody can look at it. So the morning of day 2, we went and did whale watching. So all of the fun whale pictures are coming up. So here's the skyline looking back from the harbor where we left. Here's another insert. I believe there's a process video for this one. So this was the official picture they take of you when you get on the boat. We decided to buy it because it turned out pretty well. And then I just put some matching sequins in there and fused the pocket closed. And some fun stickers here. And I wanted to include my ticket. And then here was our view as we were pulling out of the harbor from the back of the boat, which was fun. We got to pass a lighthouse on our way out into open water in the ocean. And then here's where the whale photos start. I love these. This was my favorite thing that we did the whole time we were in Boston. If you go to Boston, I highly recommend, when it's safe again, COVID withstanding and all that, when it's safe again, do a whale tour. You won't regret it. We really got some excellent photos on here. I think there's a process video for this one as well. I used some sparkly cardstock there, and an acrylic geotag, and I just got lucky really that all of this matched so well. And then I have a mix of stuff here, like these little anchors and wheels are from Stampin' Up. They're little trinkets. I don't know that they even carry them anymore. And then a mix, I just took like 3 different mixes of sequins to put together what I want. And again, fused it and love the way that turned out. I think it works really well with all these colors. Did quite a bit of journaling here because I didn't want to forget anything about the 2 particular whales that we saw. And so then I have an enlarged photo here where you can really see the tail of one of them. And these acrylic pieces are both from Bramble Fox. They just happened to make a set that featured whale watching. Why, I don't know, because they're a UK company. It's not like, you know, they're looking at US companies that do this. They must have it there as well somewhere. I've never done it when I've been in the UK. But I was just very, very happy that they had it available. And I bought a set for myself and my 2 friends that went on the trip, and we all used them. So this is one of my favorite pictures where this is Diablo, where she was lunging out backwards effectively. And that was very cool to see. So more whale pictures, and then quite a bit of journaling on the second whale as well. And then after we finished our whale watching, we decided to do, they have a hop-on, hop-off trolley there. Not a bus like some cities, but a trolley. We decided to do that just because we knew we would probably want to sit for a while too. So it would allow us to sit for a little bit after standing on the boat for like 4 hours. So we wanted to do that. And we decided to actually do a full loop of the tour first to kind of get our bearings, hear all the historical stuff so that we didn't miss out on any of that. And then we decided to start making stops. So here we are just kind of going around the city, and then our first major stop was the Paul Revere house. So I have some info basically that just talks about in general stuff about the Freedom Trail, kind of what it entails and covers. And then on the back side I have part of the brochure that we actually got from the Paul Revere house, and I did some sequins to match again. And you can see kind of part of it here. There was one area of the actual house. 2 of us could not go up in it. My friend that I was with, one of them, she has some knee problems, and I have ankylosing spondylitis, which affects my back and my hips, and narrow stairs are really hard for me. So we couldn't do them. So only one of the 3 of us went to the upper part of the house. So I don't have any pictures of that. So this is all the lower part and then the visitor center. And I included another flip here because I had some extra things that I wanted to include about Paul Revere. And then after that, we decided to walk for a little while in some different areas of the city. And here we were still on the Freedom Trail, but now we were at the Old State House. So that's what you're seeing here. And then I journaled a little bit about it because this is where Bostonians first heard the Declaration of Independence, is right in front of the Old State House. Then we had heard there was a Christmas store in Boston, and I'm not crazy about Christmas, but my 2 friends are. So I agreed we could go in there. And it was actually really fun. I found some cool ornaments actually to bring home because I do tend to collect those kind of as a secular thing. So I got a lighthouse, and we all bought matching whales since we had been whale watching. So it was definitely worth the trip. And it was very colorful in there. So that was half the fun, was just seeing all the color. And then very close to there is the Hard Rock Cafe. And we have this thing, like whenever we're traveling, if we're in a city that has one and we're near it, we'll go just to say we went. And it was right there. It was just like a block and a half over. So we went in there, had a drink, cooled off. It was very, very hot this day. You can see we don't look our best here, but that's okay. Then after that, we decided to go back to our apartment and kind of clean up, get ready. And then we had tickets to a Red Sox game that night. So we went to Fenway, and this was high on our list because we're all baseball fans. We thought it would be fun to go and see an iconic stadium. So I even have our ticket. We requested real tickets rather than electronic, so we have that. And I will say this, it was fun to go in terms of it being an iconic stadium, and it's cool to just kind of say, yep, I've seen Fenway now. I understand when I see it on TV what that really looks like. But if I'm honest, I didn't really enjoy it. I love baseball, but I did not enjoy being in this stadium. Again, I have ankylosing spondylitis. Those seats, I could not sit in them. The section we were in, at least, they're old, like wooden. They have wooden slats on the seats. It hurt so bad for me to sit there. I just could not tolerate it with my back and my hips. I had to get up. So actually, I was standing in the back for a while, and we only made it to, I think, like the bottom of 6, and then we had to leave. It was just not the greatest experience, but I'm glad I went. I had some fun ballpark food. Got to see a little bit of the game. We played the Phillies that night, so it was interesting, but I don't know that I would ever go out of my way to go back. So sorry if you're huge Red Sox fans or you love this stadium. It's just my personal opinion. I still love Boston. This was just kind of now that I know, it's a take it or leave it for me. So since we didn't eat a whole lot at the game, we were still a little bit hungry by the time we were done, and we decided to go to the Cheesecake Factory because there was one like 2 blocks from our apartment. So we went in there, picked up some dessert for ourselves, took it back to our apartment, and that's how we finished off the night. So starting here, this is our last day in Boston. So we got to sleep in a little bit because our first stop of the day was going to be the Boston Public Library, and they don't open till 9. So we knew we didn't have to rush off like the other mornings. We could sleep in a little bit and take our time. And it was close enough that we felt good walking. It was only about 7 blocks, I think. So we decided to just explore the neighborhood on our way while we were strolling leisurely. So here we got to the library. You can see the outside of it is gorgeous. This is really what I wanted to see. I have seen many, many pictures of this iconic reading room, and I love it. That bright green totally works for me. So I was happy just to see that. Everything beyond that was a bonus, but it was all gorgeous. So this was the Abbey room, which I didn't even know existed till we got there, but it was fantastic. I mean, look at how gorgeous it is, how ornate, and the paintings and everything. So again, I did another insert. This is why I have 13 in the back half. I did another insert with sequins to match because that red and gold was just so eye-catching. I kept it pretty gold over here with just some pops of red to bring that out a little bit. And then this is another area that's kind of a rotunda up top, and then you go down this huge staircase. And so I wanted to highlight all the blue tones that were in the artwork and along the stairwell here. I mean, look at that. That's just fantastic. So that's why I kind of pulled out some of the pink and rose hues, plus then added in the blue. And then this one is one of my favorite layouts, and I think, frankly, it's just because of the paper. I wanted something blue, and if you look closely at all of these, like their flowers do occur in there, and nature, and it just worked out that everything came together there, and I'm very happy with that one. But again, another insert. This is out in the courtyard of that library. So if you've never been, I highly recommend you do both the outside and the inside of the library. It's all fantastic. And that was all the older part. Then we also went into the newer section, way, way more modern. So it's quite a juxtaposition when you look at the different styles of architecture there. So you can definitely tell this is more modern. And they had a map exhibit going on, which I love maps, so I had to do it. After we were done in the library, we went outside and looked at the square area here. So this is Trinity Church. That was locked. We were not able to go in. And there's a beautiful fountain here. There's a memorial for the Boston Marathon. It's just a beautiful area, and everything that surrounds this is free. So if you wanted to go into any of these things, the library, Trinity, Old South Boston Church is kind of on the opposite corner that you can't see here. Those are all things you can go in for free and tour. So it's a great stop in the city. And then our last big stop of the day was the aquarium, which we had been right there when we did our whale watching, but it just didn't work out with our plan at the time. And so we decided to go back down there, and it's a quick subway ride. It wasn't a big deal. So we went back down there. We saw the penguins first off, and I love penguins. I put in an extra photo flip here so I could fit all of those in there. And then their seals are very entertaining. We probably sat there for 20 minutes just watching them swim around and play and get some snacks, some munchies. It was very relaxing. So I wanted to make sure that I journaled about that a little and then featured all the seals. Again, some sequins, though this time I didn't do an insert. I just used them in a pocket that I already had. In the backside of this, I wanted it to be very colorful because of all the colors in the tanks here with the fish. And then I have another acrylic piece there. I think this one's from Color Cast Designs. I don't think that one is from Bramble Fox. They look a little different, so I'm pretty sure that's Color Cast. Then on this side, I love sea turtles, and I got some really good photos, so I wanted to include those. Put in a flip so I could get an extra one in there, and just use some fun, cute cards that I found. This was actually from a sheet of paper that's made by Photoplay, and it's made to be 3x4 and 4x6 pocket cards, so I just cut them apart and used as many as I could, as you can see here, because I have more right here, plus then I have another flip. And this was on one of the cards, I think, and I just cut it so that it would fit there, if I remember right. Then here's another insert with another fun card. This makes me think of that light fish in Nemo. So I have those, and then the sea dragons here. And then this was something new. I had just watched a video where a scrapper did this with it was either a map or brochure. And I thought, well, I'm going to try that. I've never done one that like lives outside of the pocket, so I'm going to try it. So I did that, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I just added tabs there. You can still fully open the map. Plus then I have some stuff on the other side. Jellyfish. These are digital files that I bought, and I just fussy cut them as best I could. I am not a great fussy cutter, but there is a process video for this if you want to see how I put that together. On this side I have another insert. Granted, it's a small one, but still, it's an extra insert that goes in there. But look at those jellies. I had to include those. And then they had this card, and at first I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Then when I was looking through my photos, I realized I actually had one of a shark. I didn't remember that I had it, but it worked out great. So I had to use it. And then here at the end, that was kind of our last stop. We went back to our apartment to get our bags, and then we headed to New York City on Amtrak. So we were on the 5 o'clock train. So I had access to their exclusive lounge via Amtrak. And so my friends and I were just kind of hanging out in there. Super nice because it was quiet. There's only one other person in there. You get free snacks and drinks and stuff. It was very nice to just relax before we boarded the train. And then the very last layout is getting on the Amtrak to go. So you can see waiting at our platform there. Our train was actually delayed by about a half hour. So I like that it said delayed here. Kind of reminds me of that. The board there. And then I have another flip up saying goodbye as we were leaving the city. And then off we go to New York. So that's it for Boston. It's completely done. I hope you've enjoyed watching along. Thanks for sticking with me, everybody.